to go, you think?
I think so.
This is Lois Reese, who is trying to flee after killing her husband because she knows the police will soon arrive to arrest her.
Get away from me. Get away from me.
This is Scott Jones, who denies killing his wife, but doesn't know that the police have proof, the secret recording of the murder.
Same circumstances happened. Say this didn't happen. You know now, given the same circumstance, would you have shot him, Curtis?
And this is Dominique Davis, who killed his girlfriend for no reason. Let's dive into these cases. On March 11th, 2018, Lois Reese shot and killed her husband, David Reese, inside their home in Blooming Prairie, Minnesota. What followed was a cross-country crime spree that ended in another murder and a nationwide manhunt. Lois Reese, a grandmother of 5, had been married to David for decades. They lived in Blooming Prairie, where David ran a waxworm farm and Lois operated a daycare. Despite appearing like a normal couple, Lois had a severe gambling addiction. She frequently visited casinos and had been accused of stealing from her disabled sister, though she was never criminally charged. On the night of the murder, Lois and David got into a heated argument. At one point, David handed Lois a .22 caliber handgun and sarcastically told her to kill herself. Instead, Lois turned the gun on him, shooting him twice in the chest. She later claimed in court that she just snapped after years of alleged abuse. After killing David, Lois transferred $11,000 from his business account to her personal account by forging his signature. She then fled to Iowa and visited the Diamond Joe Casino, where she was a frequent gambler. By the time authorities discovered David's body and linked Lois to his murder, she had already moved on.
Card with us?
No.
Okay. $29.
See, if you want to start heading south, would you take 35 south? Just to keep going on down to the next state? Is that the way to go, you think?
I think so. Because I think that goes, 35 goes through, well, it goes down to Omaha, like past Omaha and all that.
Okay, well, thank you.
Yep.
In this footage, she can be seen fleeing while asking people for directions. Lois drove to Fort Myers Beach, Florida, where she met 59-year-old Pamela Hutchinson. The two women looked similar, and police later speculated that Lois planned to assume Pamela's identity. Security footage showed them together at a bar and restaurant, appearing friendly. Days later, on April 9, 2018, Pamela was found dead in her hotel room, shot in the chest with the same .22 caliber handgun used to kill David. Lois stole Pamela's car, credit cards, and driver's license, withdrawing more than $6,000 from her bank account. She then continued her run, stopping at casinos in Louisiana before heading to Texas. Authorities were racing to find her before she could kill again. On April 19, 2018, a restaurant employee in South Padre Island, Texas, recognized Lois and called the police. 2 undercover officers approached her, confirmed her identity, and arrested her without incident. Lois was extradited to Florida, where she faced charges for Pamela's murder. On December 17, 2019, she pleaded guilty to first-degree murder, identity theft, and grand theft auto. She was sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole. In August 2020, Lois was returned to Minnesota, where she also pleaded guilty to David's murder. On June 18, 2018, in Boulder, Colorado, Deborah DePinto and Scott Beaumont Jones were at the final stage of their failing marriage. Their separation had become toxic, and Deb was ready to leave for good. The couple and their 2 children lived in a cramped travel trailer, an environment that had only intensified the tension. Their teenage daughter, tired of the arguments, stayed in Deb's car to avoid the conflict. That evening, Deb went to the mobile home park's laundry room to wash clothes before the kids' trip to her parents' house. Scott followed her, determined to have one last confrontation. He knew that once the kids left, Deb would likely kick him out for good. Surveillance cameras had been installed around the Ponderosa mobile home park due to prior thefts, including a hidden camera in the laundry room disguised behind a box of chocolates. That camera would record everything that happened next. Their conversation was captured by the microphone.
You can't force me to love you anymore. Get out of the... Where's the door? I'm trapped. Get away from me. You make me feel terrible.
Scott accused Deb of being cruel, desperately asking if there was any chance they could be together. Deb repeatedly told him to leave her alone. Then, in a sudden outburst, Scott wrapped his hands around her throat and began strangling her. The camera recorded her struggling, gasping for air, and trying to fight back. Within minutes, she lost consciousness and collapsed onto the cold floor. For the next 47 minutes, Scott stood over Deb's motionless body, saying nothing. He didn't call for help or attempt to resuscitate her. Instead, he left the laundry room and ran back to the trailer, yelling for his son to come with him. When his son arrived and saw Deb lying unresponsive on the floor, he panicked and texted his sister, writing, "Where are you? Mom's dead." His sister, still in the car, ignored the message, assuming it was Scott trying to manipulate her. Scott then called 911, acting as though he had just discovered Deb unconscious. When the first officer arrived, Scott appeared frantic, pacing and crying, claiming that Deb had collapsed from a health issue. Paramedics arrived shortly after, but it was too late. They noticed foam around her mouth, a sign of asphyxiation, raising immediate suspicion.
Please help her, please. Oh my God. Oh my God.
Take a deep breath, okay? The best people that can possibly be working on her are working on her, okay? We got paramedics on her, all right?
Oh my God.
Let's see what's going on.
When officers reviewed the security footage, Scott's story collapsed. The video clearly showed him strangling Deb and standing over her lifeless body for nearly an hour before calling for help. Scott was arrested that same night and charged with first-degree murder, child abuse, and tampering with evidence.
Download the video. It's an hour long if you need more. I just got chills up in my spine. I couldn't watch it.
During questioning, he denied killing Deb, but once detectives showed him the video, there was no way to explain it away. The trial began in 2019, and the prosecution presented a clear case of premeditated murder. The security footage and the recorded audio were played in court, allowing jurors to hear Deb's final moments. The room fell silent as they listened to her desperate pleas. The prosecution also presented threatening text messages Scott had sent before the murder, one of which read, "Ain't no cop or restraining order gonna stop what's coming." Scott's defense team argued that he had acted at a moment of passion rather than premeditation. They claimed he never intended to kill Deb and suggested that her words had provoked him. The jury didn't buy it. After just 3 hours of deliberation, Scott was found guilty of first-degree murder, child abuse for forcing his son to witness the crime scene, and tampering with evidence. At the sentencing, Deb's daughter stood before the court and confronted her father. She told him that he had taken everything from them, made them watch him lie, and tried to make them believe something that wasn't true. Scott showed no remorse. The judge sentenced him to life in prison without the possibility of parole. On January 8, 2022, Dominique Davis, a 23-year-old man from Fort Worth, Texas, found himself in the middle of a deadly altercation that would change his life forever. The police responded to a shooting at just after 2 p.m. that day, where they found the body of 23-year-old Curtis Sims lying on the ground. As investigators arrived on the scene, they began to gather evidence, and surveillance footage from nearby cameras played a key role in the investigation. The video footage showed Davis executing Sims with a handgun while Sims was lying on the ground. Soon after the incident, Davis was arrested and taken in for questioning. Detective Sullivan and his partner, Detective Anderson, were tasked with speaking to Davis about the murder. As soon as Davis was brought into the interrogation room, the detectives began asking him about the events that led up to the shooting. The detectives informed Davis that he was under arrest for murder and that they believed he was responsible for Curtis Sims' death. Davis, however, did not deny his involvement, stating that the shooting was a result of him trying to defend himself.
Housework done here. Let's see. Today is January the 8th, 2022. The time now is approximately 17:08 or 5:08 p.m. Homicide interview room. I'm Detective Sullivan. This is Detective Anderson, my partner. Dominique, what is your last name?
Davis.
Your first name?
Dominique.
How do you spell that?
Dominique.
Middle name, Dominique?
Amari. Amari.
And a home address for you, Dominique?
I really don't have nowhere to stay, so.
Okay, kind of in between addresses.
Yes, sir.
Do you have a cell phone?
No, sir. Well, I have one, but it ain't on.
It ain't on? Cell phone number, nothing like that? Do you ever use it on Wi-Fi, anything like that, I guess?
I mean, like to be on social media.
Okay, just on that stuff like that. Okay. Okay. Do you understand what's going on? All right. So, you are under arrest right now for the charge of murder.
Mm-hmm.
I understand you made a statement to an officer when he got on scene that you took a gun from somebody and stuff like that. I don't know. That's what I'm here to talk about you about. But based on the investigation so far, I believe that you were responsible for a murder. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
If there's any claims of self-defense you want to be had, I'd love to hear you talk about it and stuff. But that's up to you. Since you are under arrest for murder, I have to read you your Miranda warnings. Okay.
According to Davis, a confrontation had taken place between him and Sims earlier in the day, and he felt threatened. Davis said that he was attacked by Sims, who got out of his car and began fighting him. He claimed that Sims had been swinging at him, and he was forced to act in self-defense.
It's important in this thing.
I mean,
Is this gun your gun?
no.
No doubt about it, it's not your
That's
gun.
not mine.
Okay. Whose gun is it?
His. The person is dead.
Who's that?
The person is dead.
Curtis?
Yeah.
How do you know he's dead?
They told me.
Yeah, okay. So, where did you get the gun?
From inside his car.
From in his car?
Mm-hmm.
Can you explain that to me?
He was fighting on me, thinking that I was hurt
Uh-huh.
because I was like this.
Where were you at? Were you inside the car when you were fighting or outside the car?
I was outside of the
Okay.
car, and he got out of his car.
Okay.
That's.
So where did you get the gun? Did you reach into an open
I reached
window?
through the window. The window was down. I
Don't-
reached through the window.
Oh, hey, man, I'm sorry.
My fault.
Yeah, it's all right. It's all right.
But,
I
like,
understand.
I
Hey,
reached through
dude,
the window.
I understand this is a big deal, man. I understand it's a big deal for you.
When asked about the gun used in the shooting, Davis explained that it wasn't his gun. He said he had taken it from Sims's car during the fight. Davis went on to describe how he had reached into the car through the passenger side window and grabbed the gun from the cup holder before using it to shoot Sims. He admitted to shooting Sims, but said he didn't know how many times he fired. According to Davis, Sims had dropped to the ground after the first shot, and Davis claimed he did not shoot him again after that. The detectives pressed Davis further, asking whether Sims had said anything threatening during the confrontation. Davis claimed he didn't hear much of what Sims said because he had tunnel vision and was focused on the fight. The detectives also asked Davis if he had ever seen the gun before the shooting, and Davis confirmed that he had not. He said he had never touched the gun before that day. As the interrogation continued, Davis was asked for permission to collect a DNA sample from him, which would help verify his story. The detectives explained that this sample could show whether his DNA was on the gun, which would support his claim that he had taken the gun from Sims' car. Davis agreed to provide the sample, signing the necessary consent forms. The detectives reassured him that cooperating with the investigation would work in his favor. At this point, the detectives wanted to know more about Davis's relationship with Sims. Davis confirmed that they were close friends who had grown up together.
Read that too, sir. If you agree with that, just sign it right there. There's a pen. Did you and I'm sorry, I don't forget his name. What's his name? The guy you were fighting with?
Mm-hmm.
Did you guys ever go to school together or anything like that?
Hmm.
What school did you go to? Central? Did you end up graduating? You got any kids, anything like that?
Hmm.
How many kids you got? One? Boy, girl?
Girl.
However, it seemed that something had gone wrong in their relationship. Davis explained that the altercation between the two started because Sims thought Davis had been injured, but Davis was unsure why Sims came at him so aggressively. The detectives then asked if the fight could have been over a woman, and Davis hesitated but denied that there was any romantic involvement that could have caused the conflict. Despite Davis's claims of self-defense, the detectives made it clear that the investigation would continue. The surveillance footage showing the shooting was a crucial piece of evidence, and they would be examining it to determine whether Davis's actions were truly justified. In addition, the detectives plan to interview witnesses who may have seen the confrontation and gather more information to build a complete picture of what happened. When the case went to trial, the prosecution focused on the fact that Davis had executed Sims after he had already fallen to the ground. The defense argued that Davis was acting in self-defense, fearing for his life after being attacked by Sims. However, the evidence, including the video footage and witness statements, painted a different picture. Dominique Davis was found guilty of murder, and he was sentenced to prison for the death of Curtis Sims. On June 1st, 2019, 68-year-old Mary Kay Katie Wolfarth went missing from Akron, Ohio.
I know it's irregular, but we can't. I mean, we could check and wait and see. I mean, she could just not be wanting to talk to you.
I know you say that, but I'm telling you, it's not
okay.
The case. Absolutely not. I mean, she's not talking to anybody.
Okay.
So, I mean, it's not me. We're the best of friends.
I'm not saying you're not. But what I'm saying is I can't make it a missing person adult because she's an adult. She can go and do whatever she wants.
You can't make that at all?
No. She doesn't have any mental illness, that she's on medication, or this is in at-risk thing. She's an adult. That's like if I left and didn't talk to anybody.
Right.
It's my choice to get up and leave.
2 days later, authorities discovered her body inside a storage unit. The Summit County medical examiner determined that she died from blunt force trauma to the head. Michael Olson, a 35-year-old handyman who was acquainted with Wolfarth, was identified as the primary suspect.
Her door open. Went around there, and it made it look like I went to jump in. That's probably what the neighbors saw me doing. I tried to jump in first, and I was like, well, I need a chair. I went over and I opened our freaking bedroom door. It was locked. I just was living there. The landlord, he was like, I guess he tried to get him to get out of there. Sorry, I'm acting like I'm all nervous and talking, but I was just helping them out, getting their freaking bedroom door open so they could start getting all out of there. They asked me to help them get all out of the basement and out of the bedroom.
Okay, so just so I understand it, they yelled out the window to you
in the morning. That was at like 8:30 this morning. Yeah. Then I was there. What neighbor called? Because I mean, didn't the neighbor see me doing mulch?
I don't know which neighbor it was.
It doesn't even matter. But dude, I was doing mulch for him. And that wasn't like I was charging him for everything. I went and got him a pack of cigarettes. Can you go get cigarettes, Mike, for us? Of course I did. Yeah. I've been staying there since February of 18 with my dad after I moved out of the TPO with my ex-girlfriend.
Authorities revealed that Olson had sexually assaulted and murdered Wolfarth before moving her body to the storage unit. Witnesses reported seeing Olson driving Wolfarth's car after her disappearance, which led investigators to him. During questioning, Olson admitted to the crime. He was charged with aggravated murder, rape, gross abuse of a corpse, grand theft of a motor vehicle, and trespassing. Given the severity of the charges, prosecutors moved forward with a plea agreement to avoid a lengthy trial. On August 27, 2019, Olson pleaded guilty to all charges in an Akron courtroom. The judge sentenced him to life in prison without the possibility of parole. Summit County prosecutor Sherry Bevan Walsh described Olson as a brutal, cold-blooded killer and expressed relief that he would spend the rest of his life behind bars. The case concluded swiftly, bringing some measure of justice to Wolfarth's family and ensuring that Olson would never harm another person again. So, which case was more shocking and why? Let us know your thoughts in the comments below and subscribe for more content.